In the pilot, one of my favorite scenes is when Dorothy tells Rose that she realizes she's getting so old.
You know, I'd kill to be 20 again.
Oh, I would kill to be 40 again.
She was talking with some of the high school kids that she was teaching and felt so young and light of heart, and all of a sudden realized she was not that age. And the way she talks about it, which is the way we always did, we told the truth. We had a great deal of heart.
This old woman was in the mirror. I didn't even recognize her.
And then we combined it with comedy.
Who was it?
And that little moment of her having the realization, and then of course Rose being the naive kind of lady that she was, how she interpreted it is quite funny.
It was me.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Tony Thomas. I was one of the executive producers on The Golden Girls. An episode that I loved was the episode of which Dorothy's friend is gay and the ladies don't know it. And while she is there, she falls for Rose.
I haven't met anyone as good and decent as Rose since Pat died. And I think I'm falling in love.
Sophia, who is the loose cannon at all times, and Dorothy tell Blanche what is going on.
There's one other thing.
Jean thinks she's in love with Rose.
Rose?
And that scene, pound for pound, is pretty darn funny. But they were also meaningful. They were meaningful moments. It was always about real life. Even one of our sillier ones where Rose dates a little person.
Oh, no thank you, little boy. We already take the Miami Herald.
The absurdity of the reactions that our ladies have to that coupling is, again, that was just, you know, toe-to-toe funny. But did have a point at the end. It wasn't just all for laughs.
I'm gonna keep seeing you. If we actually care about each other, we can lick any problem, big or small.
We were able to do anything we wanted to do because those characters were so real and so well defined. It was clear what each character was all about. So then we just took real life and put it in front of them and had them react and live it. What we told America was life is not over because you have an empty nest, or you're divorced, or your spouse died. You can create a new family and live another life. And I think that was the key to our show, was the fact that life goes on.
I can't tell you what a relief it is to just be sick, not sick and crazy.
Well, the episode that stands out, it was a two-parter actually. Dorothy being written off as a woman of dealing with stress or tiredness or nerves, and why doesn't she just go home and take a Valium? And this actually happened to Susan Harris, who was fighting chronic fatigue syndrome at the time. So she used a two-part episode to tackle that and to deal with the fact that medicine trivializes sometimes women's complaints. And so that was very impactful to all of us. All of them, you know, they dealt with death. They dealt with taking a chance and going out and dating again. They dealt with immigration. They dealt with all the issues that are still on the table today. We were able to say something, but because those characters couldn't help but be funny, we shrouded it in laughter. Well, working with those ladies was fantastic. You know, they had all been around, they had all been on other television shows, so they knew what they had here. They knew the writing was excellent. They knew that they could gel together because they were professionals. It was like an NBA all-star team. I said in my Emmy acceptance speech, they made it a pleasure to work hard. You wanted to stay up all night and get those scripts just right. And if you handed them an average script, they would make it good. And if you handed them a good script, they would make it great. And if you handed them a great script, they would knock it out of the park. It was the best television that we could possibly make. The last time I saw Betty, I asked her to do me a favor. So a friend of mine's parent was turning 95. There's a scene where they're throwing a birthday party for a friend, and they sent Rose out to get the cake. And Rose did not know it, but she stopped at a pornographic bakery.
Whoa!
Why, Rose Nyland. Why, that cake is in the shape of...
Blanche, we know what it is.
I thought it was in the shape of Florida.
But it was something completely different than that. And anyway, and so I asked Betty to say happy birthday to her and wrap it around and set up the clip. I hope you don't go out and buy a cake like I did. And then I ran the clip, and then Betty came back at the end and wished the lady a happy 95th. And so it was very sweet of Betty to do. The Golden Girls brought families together. I have been told many a time that people my age and younger go to their grandparents' or parents' house and bond over watching those shows. That's very gratifying. And what's also very gratifying is people are still discovering the show. High school kids and college kids and everyone, each generation is finding Golden Girls and is becoming stronger and stronger. It's clearly an iconic show, and we're very proud of that. You know, you don't get one of those all the time. We made a lot of television, and Golden Girls managed to really leave its mark, and still does. They have such distinct personalities. There is no single one that I hear about more than the other. Everybody has somebody like one of them in their family, whether it's the inflated ego of Blanche or the naivete and lack of sophistication of Rose, or the acerbic tone and wit of Dorothy, and or the loose cannon element of Sophia. Everybody has all of those folks in the family, and that's, I think, what makes people identify with the show. There is an interesting symmetry to Golden Girls and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, but both are about family, and both are about taking care of each other. And certainly the Golden Girls did that. They took care of each other. And everyone at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital takes care of the parents and patients, and our donors help us do that. I will talk to people who, and I ask them, why do you give to St. Jude? People that are much younger than me, and they said, because my parents did, and my grandparents did. And in Golden Girls, I talk to people very young, and I say, you're really a big fan of Golden Girls. Where did you find it? So, well, my grandparents watched it, my parents watched it, now I watch it, and my children watch it. And so there is that generational aspect in both places that I found quite touching.